Developmentally appropriate practice and benefits of art across the curriculum. So what is developmentally appropriate? If you've had a class in child development, if you've had a class with me, we've talked about this before. There are three parts to what is developmentally appropriate. What's age appropriate based on what we know about the development and learning of children within a given range of age, what is appropriate for them. Just like you're not going to give scissors to infants, you're not going to expect 4-year-olds to put everything in their mouths. Like, what is the thing for most children that are the age group that you're working with that you can count on for their developmental level? Some children will be at higher levels, some will be at lower levels, and that's okay. You just need to work with the typical developmental stages and skills for people in your age group that you're working with. And then you also need to consider what's individually appropriate. So each child in your class, what is going to be appropriate for him or her? Is there a way that you can do the activities that bring all of the children together, even children who have special needs? How can you accommodate all the children in an activity or in the things that you're doing in your classroom? And then what's appropriate to the social and cultural contexts in which children live? What are culturally appropriate songs or types of art that you can bring into your classroom to be more developmentally appropriate? When we're working with children, we always want to make sure that what we're doing is developmentally appropriate, that we're not expecting them to do things that are beyond where their developmental skills are, or that are not, at the level where they are. So we know how children learn, right? We know that children learn through positive relationships with teachers and adults, that when you are there and you are providing all the things that they need to feel comfortable and confident, that they can learn better, that they can, it's easier for them to focus. It's easier for them to understand when all the other things in their life are, okay. And when you are there being their cheerleader and their coach and their positive role model. They learn through active hands-on involvement. That means they need to touch things, they need to experience things, they need to interact with things and people in order to make sense of the world, in order to make sense of what you're trying to talk to them about or teach them about. They need to have meaningful experiences. They need to have meaningful experiences that are based on their prior knowledge. If you're trying to teach children about something that they've never experienced before, you need to link it to something that they have experienced or do understand. And you shouldn't expect children to understand things that are beyond their own experience. You wouldn't teach, let's say, children in Florida might have a harder time understanding about the physical aspects of snow than children in Minnesota, right? So you need to bring the thing that you're trying to tell them about, the concept that you're trying to teach them, your learning objective, into their experience so that they have some way to connect it to their own lives. They are constructing their understanding of the world as they go along through every day. They're thinking about, how is this going to work? What's going to happen here? And then they're readjusting their expectations as they go, because things might not turn out the way they would think that they would, right? So they might think that they could climb up this ladder to the slide upside down. So they try it and it doesn't work. And they refigure their understanding of how things work. Or they might put blue paint on top of green paint, thinking that the two will just layer on top of each other. But when they actually try it, they see that they blend together. So they're trying to figure out how everything works all the time. And that's constructing their understanding of the world. How does creating art promote development? Well, we talk about development in 4 domains, right? Social, emotional, cognitive, language, and physical. So social emotional development is that ability to interact positively with others, develop relationships, share, take turns, express your emotions, deal with frustration. That's your social emotional development. There's a lot of social emotional development going on in early childhood. Cognitive development is what we think about as learning. These are the concepts and ideas where you are learning them. You're learning to read, you're learning to write. Those are cognitive. You're learning to tie your shoes. But all of those things, those cognitive things, you're learning about dinosaurs. They have different elements within them. Languages, speaking, and it's also learning to read and write. Okay, so those things fit into language. And then physical is fine motor, holding a pen, beating, tying, that kind of thing. And then gross motor, running, jumping, um, what else? Swimming. Those are gross motor activities. And that's physical development. So we want to think about how the arts fits in with all of this, how the arts being creative arts like art, painting, music, dance, those kinds of things. And the Illinois Early Learning Development Standards spell out some goals for the arts, which are gain exposure to and explore the arts. So in preschool, we want to be giving children exposure to the arts, exposure to movement and dance, exposure to drama, exposure to music, exposure to the visual arts, having them have experiences with all of these things so that they become part of what they understand about the world, right? And you might think, oh, I can't teach little kids about artists. Well, we'll talk about that. It's absolutely doable. And there are ways to do it that draw on their own experiences and are developmentally appropriate. So we also, one of our goals here in gain exposure to and explore the arts is describe or respond to their creative work or the creative work of others. And this is, intentionally looking at work that they have created in the classroom and talking about, why did I do this, or why did I use these colors, and how did it feel when I did this? So not just having them create things, but having them think about the process involved, think about the feelings involved. Okay. Another goal is understanding that the arts can be used to communicate ideas and emotions, like I just said. So using the creative arts for self-expression, understanding ways to express meaning through the arts. I'm, listening to different types of music and talking about what kinds of emotions it makes you feel. Is it loud? Does it make you feel angry? Is it quiet? Does it make you feel calm and happy? Doing the same thing with paintings, showing them different paintings that artists have done, talking about how that relates to their feelings. Understand the role of the arts in civilizations past and present, analyzing how the arts function in history, society, and everyday life, and understanding how the arts shape and reflect history, society, and everyday life. Again, this seems like a lot for preschoolers to do, but you can actually do it. You can talk about how, back in the old days, the very old days, like before the dinosaurs, not before the dinosaurs, after the dinosaurs, people painted in caves and they told their stories by putting shapes and stick figures and stuff in caves, that kind of thing. Or talking about how illustrators in books, we use the pictures in books to tell stories. Okay, now flip your thinking. So we were talking about how we can think about incorporating the arts into the classroom. Now we're going to flip it and think about how we can incorporate the arts into specific areas in the classroom to promote different skills. So using the arts to promote language arts skills. These are also standards from the Illinois Early Learning and Development Standards for preschool. And you'll see each one of them is a goal. And so how can we use the arts to help children follow simple 1, 2, and 3 step directions? Well, what can we do? We can say, oh, take your paintbrush in your hand, dip it in your paint, and then paint on the paper, right? So you're following 1, 2, 3-step directions there by doing art. Engaging in agreed upon rules for discussions. I'm showing you a beautiful piece of artwork and we're talking about it, right? We're having a discussion and we're using those language arts discussion rules, okay? Exhibit curiosity and interest in learning new words heard in conversation and books. I might be reading you a book about an artist and it talks about collages and portraits and watercolors, and you're learning new vocabulary words through the arts. Mathematics, you think, okay, art and math don't really go together, but yes, they do. So we might be talking about the color red, right? And we are sorting and comparing and ordering things based on the color red, right? So we're using arts to do math. Recognizing, duplicating, extending, and creating simple patterns in various formats. You cut up a whole bunch of different shapes and colors of paper and put them in your art area to make collages, and they make patterns, right? So, and then talking about shapes and sizes, right? When you say something's bigger, or where it is on the page when you're saying, oh, we put the sun in the upper corner. You're learning ordering and sequencing, and that's all math stuff. You're probably wondering what these boys are doing. They have spray bottles full of watercolor paint, and they're spraying away on a white bed sheet. And they're seeing how the colors combine together to make new colors. They're using their small motor skills to spray, and they're using their large motor skills to walk around. They had a blast. This is a kid who is using his large motor skills and small motor skills to draw with chalk using his feet. He made those chalk things into roller skates, and was rolling around. So physical development health, using strength and control to accomplish tasks. Same thing, like, and hand-eye coordination, to paint, to draw. You're using physical skills when you're doing art. And social emotional development. These girls are doing art together. So they had to share, they had to take turns, they had to cooperate, and they also had to talk about what they were doing. So these are all ways that you can meet these Illinois Early Learning Development Standards in all of the developmental domains by doing art.